Welcome to Golf Smarter Mulligans, your second chance to gain insight and advice from the best instructors featured on the Golf Smarter podcast. Great golf instruction never gets old. Our interview library features hundreds of hours of game improvement conversations like this that are no longer available in any podcast app.
When I was a kid, I would hit a shot to a green, and the moment I hit the green, I would say, okay, well, that's par at worst. All I have to do is two-putt. Then all of a sudden you hit the ball and you miss the green, you're like, oh no, maybe that's going to be a bogey because I got to hit a really great shot to get it up and down. So you start to play with this sense of fear. The gamer, they hit it and find it and hit it and find it and hit it and find it, and every time they hit it, they're going to find it, they're going to try their best, and they're going to try and get it out. And for the player who plays tight, who plays fearful, especially in a match, to be able to hit your ball to 10 feet and then to two-putt or do something ridiculous like three-putt, to see your playing partner hit it into the woods, pitch it out, knock it to 6 inches and tap it in, that's a crushing blow because right away off the tee you think you've got this big competitive advantage. And the thing is that the player who has the right mindset is really the one with the competitive advantage. And you can really, within a couple of shots or a couple of holes, figure out who's got it and who doesn't just by how they respond to the outcomes they get and how they keep on swinging away and firing at the flag.
With another interview from the archives of Golf Smarter, here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome back to the Golf Smarter podcast, Jeff.
Hey, Fred, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. It's great to talk to you again. I've been enjoying your stuff on the web, as always, and we'll get into that in a minute, your YouTube stuff. We'll talk a little bit about your book, which we've featured before. But I realized something the other day, and I wanted to talk to you about it. We spend time in the driving range working on our swing, and then we go and play golf, and it has nothing to do with the driving range. To me, it's like, you're on the golf course, it's shot making. You're on the driving range, you're just swinging.
Well, I mean, it certainly is different, and making that transition from the range to the course is the biggest transition for a lot of golfers to make. You always hear them say, "Boy, if I could just transfer my range swing, I'd be a scratch golfer." But
that's not really true, is it?
It's not really true because obviously there's a lot more to the game than just hitting golf shots. But really, what they're dealing with is a disconnect between making a swing and dealing with mechanics in a setting where there's no fear of outcome. I mean, you got this range which is 100 to 150 yards wide, depending on what kind of practice facility you're at, and you're just standing there and you're hitting the same club shot after shot after shot, and you're honing some kind of a feeling. And when you get that feeling, you can groove it. And if you get a chance to make 25 6-iron swings where there's no consequence, certainly. You can look like a tour pro out there. And the moment you get to the first tee, obviously you're changing the length of club that you have. You're only getting one opportunity to swing it, so you can't really get that feeling of being the perfect distance away from the golf ball or feel that same perspective that you had when you were standing in the exact same posture that you were for 25 shots before. And now there's obstacles out there. There's out of bounds right. There's bunkers left. There's water. There's something you have to carry over. And now you start to get that fear of what might happen if you don't make the perfect swing. And you've got 4 to 5 hours to go through that same scenario over and over and over again. And it's really demoralizing for a lot of players because the golf is such a big game, and it's a really difficult thing to conquer. And you think about the average player and how much time they can put into practice and how much time they can put into play as it relates to their regular lives and their work schedules. And to be able to really make that transition effortlessly is a difficult thing to do. And it's one of these things as a coach you empathize with because you see how much people care about their games and you see what their potential is. But they have to realize that just because they can do it on the practice tee, they need to learn how to train themselves not only physically but also train themselves mentally and emotionally to be able to make that transition, make it happen a little bit easier, and really stay the course so they can have fun with the game as opposed to getting discouraged by it.
Yeah, and then you've got, then you've got the weather to deal with. Then you've got the uneven lies, and then you've got to hit around a tree. And then I don't know. I'm just coming to this realization that that this concept of shot making seems to be part of a different generation of golf now that we have such great equipment. And then it's all about distance, distance, distance. How far can you hit the ball? And I think there's something missing.
Well, the shot-making thing is also a product of kind of where technology and where coaching has gone. I mean, you think about the swings that you would see on tour, 40 years ago, and they were so unique and diverse. And to see someone like Raymond Floyd, and you can look at someone like a Gabe Brewer, and then you look at a Seve Ballesteros. I mean, just throughout the generations, there have been these really free-flowing, charismatic personalities in the game. Arnold Palmer, perfect example. And once you start to see things on video, as coaching starts to progress, you start to say, well, you know what? The top of backswing, could be a little bit different. Maybe it shouldn't be so laid off. Maybe the face shouldn't be so closed or so open. And you start to see these players that come out on tour these days, and their swings from A to Z are a lot more technically sound. But as a result, when you're always thinking about what it looks like as it relates to the outcome, you sort of lose a feel for, visually connecting with your target and then just playing a shot by feel, kind of the way a tennis player would if they're trying to hit a cut shot or a lob shot or a hook or a topspin shot. I mean, they're really connected with the game in the moment. And, there's good and bad attributes to that. I think the players that understand the process nowadays and really start to put as much time as they can into the feel aspect and the shot-making aspect of it, they get the best of both worlds, being technically sound, but also having that sense of creativity. From the junior level, I think a lot of juniors sometimes just get into playing golf swing versus really learning how to play golf, and that ends up hurting them down the line.
And the fact that you mentioned the word creativity here, and then you followed up with the concept of juniors, I would see how a lot of the young kids, and I've felt this a long time now, that a lot of these young studs that are coming up in the tour at such a young age, technically they're incredibly proficient, but they may lack not only the creativity that you talked about, but also the mental stamina, the mental, what's the word I'm looking for here? The emotional IQ that is required to play golf on a tournament level.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because every time you might be at your home club or you might be at some resort out here in Arizona and you see some kid on the practice team, maybe he's in high school, maybe he's a collegiate player, and he's just hitting these bombs, 320 yards in the air, and it's one after another, and he's kind of got that, Greg Norman look to him, long flowing blonde hair, wide shoulders. I mean, the guy looked exciting. Like, how in the world can this guy fail, And what most people don't realize is that once you demonstrate some degree of skill as it relates to the pro level, all you've done is position yourself at square one, ground zero, because everyone out there is talented. Everyone. And if you look at collegiate golf and how many collegiate players really make it on the PGA Tour, it's an extremely small number. So
sure.
For the player especially, they need to make sure that they don't start drinking the Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? They need to say, okay, I can hit it. Everyone can hit it out there. Once I cross into that level of competition, I need to realize that I'm not so special anymore, and I got to figure out how I'm going to get this done. And when you look at a player like Tom Kite, I mean, that guy has no physical gifts whatsoever, But the thing is that, I mean, he's a grinder, and he's a smart guy.
He's
a
gamer.
Knows how to practice. He's a gamer, and maybe one of the greatest wedge players of all time. And he did it. He got it done. Maybe it was a lot harder for him to get it done than a guy like Phil Mickelson, because it took him a long time to get that U.S. Open. It looked like maybe it was never going to happen, especially after he had that big collapse. But, I was reading Bob Rotell's book the other day, The Life is Not a Game of Perfect. I was just kind of filtering through it as I was on a flight, and he talked about having talent, and he also talked about having what he called real talent. And a lot of times the person has to work a lot harder to overcome some kind of an obstacle, demonstrates what he calls real talent, which is what you really need to be successful. And sometimes the player that is starting his life the fastest kid in the school ground, or the tallest kid on the basketball team, they kind of start to slough it. And everyone tells them how great they are and how special they are. And as it relates to their long-term success, they never really learn what it takes to be great. And I think that happens a lot with golfers, especially at the competitive level.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that being the gamer, it gives you a psychological edge too, because if your opponent knows that you've got such an amazing short game, and that you grind it out, that would give them a slight edge there. It could be an intimidation factor. Well,
the gamer is never affected by offline shots, and they're never affected by not getting what they want. We call it in sports psychology the shooter's mentality.
And then the recreational player is just thrown off for an hour by a bad shot.
Well, even a competitive player, who, for example, when when I was a kid, a young kid, I would hit a shot to a green, and the moment I hit the green, I would say, okay, well, that's par at worst. All I have to do is two-putt. Then all of a sudden you hit the ball and you miss the green, you're like, oh, no, maybe that's going to be a bogey because I got to hit a really great shot to get it up and down. So you start to play with this sense of fear. The gamer, they hit it and find it and hit it and find it and hit it and find it, and every time they hit it, wherever it goes, they're going to find it, they're going to try their best, and they're going to try and get it out. And for the player who plays tight, who plays fearful, especially, in a match, to be able to hit your ball to 10 feet, and then to two-putt or do something ridiculous like three-putt, to see your playing partner, hit it into the woods, pitch it out, knock it to 6 inches and tap it in, that's a crushing blow because right away off the tee you think you've got this big competitive advantage. And the thing is that the player who has the right mindset is really the one with the competitive advantage. And you can really, within a couple of shots or a couple of holes, figure out who's got it and who doesn't just by how they respond to the outcomes they get and how they keep on, swinging away and firing at the flag.
Jeff, you are quite prolific in your contributions to YouTube for golf instruction. I really enjoy watching your stuff and came across one just the other day, last night, as a matter of fact. I was looking on my phone, your most recent entry. And what I would like to do is try to do an interactive thing here with YouTube and you and the audience and tell everyone to, luckily with a podcast, you can put it on pause or you can come back after you've heard this. You can come back and do it while you're at your computer. And this is only a 2.5-minute video that you call Sample Shots. So I want everyone to go to youtube.com and then while you're there, type in Jeff Ritter Golf -sample shots, or just go Jeff Ritter Golf and then look up sample shots. Maybe if you even looked up sample shots. And what I would like to do, there's no narration on this video, so I thought we would do the director's cut, that we would watch this together, and then while we're watching it, you can describe what we should be looking at, why you're doing it this way, why you're choosing this shot, all the things. I'll let you riff on this. Can we just do it try to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And, thanks for, showcasing these YouTube videos. I mean, it's something I put together a couple of years ago, and now I'm at about 2.5 million views. And it's really been maybe the number one thing that's really kind of taken my brand and my business and kind of put it over the top in the last couple of years because, I get so much response from all over the world. And, a lot of times when coaches put together coaching videos, it's all about, what you say and how you say it. And I've got about 72 videos on there now, and I finally said to myself, well, maybe I'll just say nothing and let people look and let people watch. And so far I've got
and I'm not going to let that happen.
Yeah, I know you're not going to. But, as we kind of alluded to, before we got on the air here a little bit, was the fact that, when I was a kid, they had these cybervision videos, which I thought were really great. And they would take different players and they would just have them hitting, shot after shot after shot, the same shot, but just from different situations. And they would put music to these videos and speed them up and slow them down and change the dynamics of the sounds as the ball was coming off the club face. And you can watch these things for half an hour to an hour. And I really, connected with just being able to watch someone that was proficient do something well and learn from it as opposed to, having to hear them explain it or describe it to me. So I thought that'd be a good thing to try here. And I put together about 4 different shots, and I'll take your lead and we'll go for it.
Yeah. And this would be under I guess you have a couple different channels. This one is JRitter55.
JRitter5. The JRitter5, it should be on there.
Oh, wow. This one comes up as JRitter55. You have 7 videos at JRitter55.
Oh, yeah. So JRitter55 is kind of like my trial channel. It's where I'll put something up just to see if it worked to load up. Sometimes I'll put something up.
You want to hear you playing Blackbird on guitar, right?
Yeah, well, I do that as well, too. But actually, I've been kind of creating my iPhone app. So I put up a few videos there from time to time to share with the developer. But actually, the Jeff Ritter Golf channel is at Jeff Ritter Golf or JRitter5. That'll get you all the stuff.
Let me see if I can go JRitter5. There's JRitter5. Okay. Great. Okay. So let's all cue that one up. And it's called Jeff Ritter Sample Swings. You can put it in the HD mode if you'd like. And what we'll do, let's count this one down together. We'll go 3, 2, click. And then on click, let's start it. And then, Jeff, we'll just let you talk as we're watching over the next 2.5 minutes. All right?
Great. Absolutely.
All right. 3, 2, click.
All right, so here I've got a down the target line view of my driver swing, and
Well,
basically
first we have the titles. Now we go down. Boom, there's the first shot. Okay, go ahead.
All right, very good. So we got a down the target line view of my driver swing, and my basic principle for building the full swing is really built off of this idea that if your arms and your shoulders swing in a similar arc, your swing's not going to need as much rhythm and timing as if they do not. So
and now we're looking at the full face swing of your driver.
Yeah, so basically, if you look at my swing, my left arm and my shoulders are very much in the same plane. From the face-on view, this is all more about ball position and the wind-up. One of the things I'm trying to do as I'm winding up is really keen not on winding up my left shoulder, but actually winding up my chest and my right shoulder. So if I get my right shoulder kind of back behind my head a little bit, that actually gives me more of what I call a true turn than a false turn that some people get if they start to move off the ball, sway off the ball, or actually have more of a left shoulder thought.
Okay, now we're on the third swing of your pitch shot from about, 30 yards out?
Yeah, well, the pitching, it's all about being able to swing on an arc that moves off the target line.
And now we're in the bunker.
we're already. Holy cow.
All
right, well,
two on the second shot in the bunker.
Yeah, well, let me just drop back for a second. Can we stay with pitching if we could?
Okay, pause. Everyone put it in pause for a moment and let him talk about it.
Maybe I need a longer video. But the thing is with short game shots, a lot of times when people get really close to the pin, they start to swing too much on the target line or down the target line in their attempt to hit the ball straight. So when you look at my teaching philosophy, it's all about playing the game more off the line with an arcing motion. So when you watch this pitching swing, you can see how straight the ball is flying, but I'm really creating a rounded arc, not only back but also through.
Okay. Now we're in the bunker. We've seen that swing a couple times. We're looking down the line.
Yeah, interesting. Notice how square my stance is.
Yeah.
How straight the ball is flying, even though I'm playing with an open face. So a lot of times golfers really get sort of haywire if they start to change their setups too much. So
now we're on the close-up in the bunker.
Yeah, most people feel like if the face is aimed right and their feet are aimed left, then the ball would fly right up the middle. In reality, the ball kind of goes where the sand goes. And if you watch most players on tour, they're actually playing their shots much more square with their stance position.
Okay. And so that was, now we're on your one-handed shot from the bunker.
One-handed shot from the bunker. A lot of people think of bunker shots as explosion shots, so they have to make these big, fast, aggressive swings. That's not true. A bunker play is all about technique, and if you can create a nice shallow cut of sand, you can actually make the ball fly out fairly easy, even with the strength of one hand.
And now we're just on the edge of the green. We're on the lip of the green.
Chipping, you can see my takeaway actually has a little bit of wrist hinge in there. A lot of people think that wrists are bad in chipping. Actually, if you're going to try and create an efficient motion to create some energy, allowing some hinge and fold in the backswing is actually pretty good. As it relates to coming through, you see a little bit of pivot in my hips. As I pivot my hips with the proper ball position, I actually create a situation where I get good ball, then turf contact, and obviously a nice straight line to the hole.
Well, yeah, because now we're looking at these shots that is looking down the line as you're chipping in and following the ball all the way to the clink cup, and that is the end of the video.
There you go. First take. How about that? As far as you know.
As far as I know. All right, take two. Now we're going to actually have you watching this while we're doing it, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, I was. Then we stopped and we went, and I got my phone here, which kind of gets locked up a little bit. But,
yeah, okay. Well, that was really interesting, and you've really pointed out some interesting things. Hopefully everyone's going to come back and watch that with us. But even if you don't watch it while you're listening, please go check this out, J Ritter 5 channel. That's Jeff Ritter Golf, and look for sample swings, because it's really, I think it's really valuable. I think you don't need to say a lot. I can watch a ball game with the sound off.
Exactly.
Because when I go to a ball game, there's no one telling me what's going on, so I have to figure it out for myself.
Well, I know how much people love to use YouTube as a way of sort of researching golf swings, and just with myself, I would look around at different swings, and I would really be disappointed that someone would post this great swing and it would be over in half a second, and I'd have to keep on hitting replay. So I thought that for the people that really like the educational content available on YouTube, I would create this loop and give them a chance to kind of let it sink in a little bit. And like I said, so far the response has been great. And as it relates to those bunker shots, standing square, I actually have a feature in this month's Golf Digest magazine, which is on newsstands now. It was the feature for the best young teachers in America, and they actually gave me a pretty healthy segment to talk about bunker play and that exact thing, being more square versus the traditional open stance cut across the type of mentality that most people think of when they're in the sand.
Very good. And there's a lot of stuff on you. You have, as you said, you've put a lot of videos over the last couple of years up on YouTube, and I think that you really have some valuable instruction. A recent announcement by Dixon Golf, who supplies us with our Dixon Earth golf balls for the Golf Smarter members. You have recently become one of their professional staff? Is that what that's called? Or you endorse them? Or how does that work?
Basically, I try and help them with their efforts, and they try and help me with my efforts. And as you know, when you're trying to build a business, the power of association is extremely powerful. And I didn't have an ongoing ball deal with someone that I was comfortable with, and I'm in Tempe, Arizona, and Dixon is actually within walking distance from my lesson tee. Actually, they actually moved their offices. They're actually in Tempe now.
Oh, okay.
And they have their offices right at the base of the headquarters for the new light rail system that actually runs from Tempe into Mesa and also up to Phoenix. But I got a chance to meet these guys, and very quickly you start to connect with people that kind of speak your language, so to speak. And my whole brand, or part of my brand, is all about not only playing better, but living better and doing the right things to take care of yourself and the people around you. And I spent about 2 hours sitting down with their CEO, William Carey, and I really liked what they had to say. And it was very evident that I was going to pursue maybe trying to do some things on a bigger scale with them. But as being a serious golf instructor, you got to be able to believe in the product as well. So they gave me a bunch of sample golf balls, and I went out to an East Coast trip. I was actually heading to Pine Valley, Marion, and Saucon Valley. Wow. And I took their Fireball, which is most comparable to a Titleist Pro V1. And actually gave it to
at $80 a box, I don't know if it's comparable to anything.
Well, in terms of the way people feel about a golf ball and performance, and actually, if you talk to Dixon, they'll say that the Dixon Fire actually outperforms the Pro V1 in a number of categories. But it's really a big thing where growing brand, they need to get some credibility amongst good coaches and good players. And I just so happen to have a student of mine named Todd Murphy, who's going into PGA Tour qualifying school next week, and he's won before on the mini tours, and he shot 59 earlier this summer in North Carolina. So he's a hell of a player and one of the best ball strikers I've ever worked with. And I gave this ball to Murph, as we call him, and we played these 3 different courses, and he said that it was the best ball he ever played. In fact, he contacted Dixon, and they're going to supply balls for him for PGA Tour qualifying school. So, it's one of these things where
that's great.
Yeah, it's not. They have a unique platform where they share their perspective on the world and running a business. But for people out there that haven't heard the brand or maybe skeptical that it's a novelty item because it's an eco-friendly ball, I'll tell you that it's absolutely fantastic. And Murph, his dream is to play golf professionally for a living. And if he didn't think the ball was the best, then he wouldn't put it in play here next week. So go out and give it a try. They've got the Earth, the Wind, and also the Fire golf balls. I know they're available at PGA Tour Superstores, and if you go to their website, DixonGolf.com, you'll be able to find a retailer near you.
Yeah, well, you don't have to even go that far. We have them at GolfSmarter.com in our Golfers Mart, and we have actually some very good deals for golfers to buy multiple boxes and get a great discount on it. Plus, we'll have the Golf Smarter logo put on the balls. And if you want, there's a deal right now that through GolfSmarter.com, if you want to check out the Wind ball, which is their extreme distance ball, along with the Earth ball, which is their tournament quality ball, they say. You can buy a couple boxes and get another one thrown in. But it's interesting because, it is lifestyle part of it. 300 million golf balls a year are lost, and those just kind of chew away at the environment, and that's what we're trying to put a stop to. But Dixon is making a contribution to do otherwise, to put out eco-friendly balls. They don't dissolve into the ground or the water, but they don't have any harsh metals that'll kill anything, right?
Yeah, absolutely true. And it's one of these things where you look at companies and companies throw a lot of advertising out and tag words, and but the reality of what the company actually does on a daily basis might not represent what they say. And I can say that Dixon is quite the contrary. I mean, everything they do is in line with their mission. They're truly an eco-friendly company. They don't send out any kind of paper mailings. They encourage all their staff members to commute or take public transportation. So everything they do, the materials they use, it's 100% in line with that message. So if you're someone who believes in those kinds of things, who loves the game, who'd like to, kind of play their part as it relates to helping this brand grow, Dixon's definitely the company for you.
Yeah, and we're trying to get Will to come on the show. I was down in Scottsdale recently, and Will and I didn't get a chance to meet. But I definitely want to have him come on and justify an $80 box of golf balls. It's like, really? $80 for a box of balls? And some people, like they've got Don Cheadle, the actor Don Cheadle, and there's another actor, Kevin, what's his name?
Kevin Sorbo of Hercules.
Of Hercules, right? He's playing the ball. And we've had Sean Pfister on the show, the long drive champion, talking about his use of the ball, and he really likes it. And you're right. The way the golf ball world works is you need to get players to endorse them for anyone to notice.
Exactly.
Which
that's
is
a tough
kind
thing.
of a shame, but...
Well, that's the way products work. And the thing is, once you get through Q school, to get a glove and a ball and a shoe deal, these companies might pay you, $100 to $200 grand, right out of the gate to do that. And that's obviously something that a lot of companies can't do if you're not a Titleist or a TaylorMade. But growth happens slowly, and the big thing is that people out there know that, I'm a serious coach, and I believe in the product, and I wouldn't play it and I wouldn't promote it if I didn't think that people would really enjoy it. So, it's one small step at a time here, but they're a great company. You're going to hear a lot about them. They actually might have an opportunity to be heard a little bit on the Oprah Winfrey Show sometime this month because Scott Flansburgh, who's known as the Human Calculator, for being the possessor of a mind that operates faster than a calculator, is going to be on there, and he's actually part of Dixon and their movement, and he's going to share the brand with a very large audience. So,
that's fabulous.
Keep that name in mind, the Dixon mind. The Dixon brand is going to start making some waves, and if you haven't heard about them, you can say that you heard about them here on the Golf Smarter podcast first.
Well, yeah, and you really did, because like I said, we've been promoting this product and using this product and giving this product away since April of 2009. So we jumped on it early, and very proud to be associated with it. Actually, I'm kind of amazed. I was looking at their site at DixonGolf.com this morning, and when you look under products and check out the Earth Golf Ball, which is the ball that I really love, there's 2 quotes on the Earth Ball pages, and there's one from Don Cheadle and another one from me. It's about as close as I'll ever. Yeah, I know. I was like, really? Wow, it's like as close as I'll ever get to Don Cheadle. That's pretty cool. But you, which ball do you play? You play the Earth or you play the Fire?
I play the Fireball. Yeah, I really like that. I was really impressed with it, and it's as long off the tee as anything I've played before. And Dixon, they kind of had a reputation, especially with the long drive tours, for being a long ball off the tee. And a lot of times when people think about a long ball, they think that it doesn't have playability and feel. And the first couple of shots I hit at Marion with this Fireball into some of the greens were just beautiful. And the ball sat and responded nicely. It putted softly off the face, and it was exactly what I was looking for. So I called Dixon back a couple of days after I kind of finished my little golf trip, and I said, I'm in. It's a great ball, and it's a great message. So whatever we need to do to help each other, I'm in. Let's go for it. So it's been a good thing so far.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining that team and being part of it, and for promoting an eco-friendly product. I know, you and I are out in the wild, wild west, and there's a lot of people in the East who are like, oh, you guys out in California and Arizona, what is your deal? But you know what? It's the right thing to do. And you love golf. Do you have to play a Titleist? I've said this multiple times. I don't know if I told you, Jeff, but to me, playing a Pro V1, I don't understand why I would ever play a ball that stands for provisional. Am I the only one that's noticed this? I just don't get it.
Well, obviously their marketing team didn't notice it, did they? No.
It's like, you want to play a ball called provisional? There's no way I'm going to spend that much money to a ball that I'm intending to lose. Forget it.
Yeah, it's like when Chevy tried to sell the Nova down in Mexico. It didn't really go off that well.
Because Nova meant
no go.
No go. Oops. Yeah, there's been a couple of things that get lost in translation here, but this is English.
Exactly.
All right, Jeff, it's great talking to you again. Thanks so much for becoming a friend of Golf Smarter and of Dixon Golf and coming on the show. We look forward to speaking to you again.
Awesome, Fred. Thanks for having me, as always.
I wanted to provide some feedback that has been pouring in about our last members-only conversation with Tony Manzoni. Your responses have blown me away. I got a phone call from Pat Helmers in Chicago that he listened to that episode 5 times and wants to take lessons from Tony. Don Eskin from Boston copied me on an email that he sent to Tony requesting his time, and Tad Dolbier of Boone, North Carolina emailed me to say, I tried Tony's single pivot swing technique as discussed in the podcast and shot my best round in 2 years.